Apex Predator. Hazard level B, they're a tier 1 enemy, they have 150 health, will deal 10 damage per hit, they have no strength breakpoints, and they will drop small orbs. Apex Predator has 3 phases: roam, follow, and attack. When a duck first spawns, it'll always spawn in the module furthest from the R.E.P.O van. I've already covered how spawning works in another video, but to keep it simple, the duck will spawn, then idle for up to 2 minutes. Once this timer expires, or if a player steps within 20 units of the duck, it will enter phase 1. When a duck enters its roaming phase, it'll idle anywhere between 2 to 5 seconds, then begin roaming from level point to level point. If you don't know what level points are, they're basically just checkpoints placed all around the map that enemies use to spawn on and pathfind to. The duck will choose a random level point within 25 to 30 units, walk to that level point, and when it gets there, it'll choose another one, and so on and so forth. Now, if a duck hears a noise, this will trigger it to investigate the noise. The duck will pathfind directly to the last noise it heard, pause for a few seconds, then return to its regular pathfinding algorithm. Ducks use a field of view cone that extends 10 units out at a 163-degree angle. In order for the duck to spot you, you must be inside this cone for a certain amount of time. If you're standing, you'll need to be in the cone for a full second. If you're crouching or in object mode, you'll need to be in the cone for 2.5 seconds. And if you're crawling, you'll need to be in the cone for a full 5 seconds in order for the duck to spot you. On top of the time change, if you're crouching, crawling, or in object mode, the duck will only have 89% of its vision cone, making it even harder to spot you. Ducks can also spot you if you're holding an item. You can think of the item you're holding as an extension of you. This means that if a duck cannot see you, but it can see the item you're holding, technically it can still see you. Ducks also have a proximity awareness of 2 units, which means if you were to stand within 2 units of a duck, even if it's not looking at you, it will spot you. This proximity awareness drops to 1 unit if you're crouching or crawling. Once a duck spots you, it'll begin phase 2. When a duck spots you, it'll begin its follow phase, which lasts 2 minutes. During this phase, the duck will follow your cursor wherever you point it. In this state, the duck is completely harmless, but can be annoying as it constantly gets in your way of grabbing items. Even if you were to aim your cursor above the duck, it'll use an action literally called annoying jump, which tells the duck to jump when you jump and to jump at your cursor when you're looking up. This action can easily cause you to accidentally grab the duck instead of grabbing an item. As annoying as this action can be, you can actually use this to your advantage to lure the duck to cauldrons, which is one of the most effective ways to kill them as it takes no resources and stuns them for about 18 seconds, giving you plenty of time to get the kill. You can also use toilets, just be sure to flush the toilet to get the kill, and you can use pits, just be sure to use acid pits because the duck will just fly back up if it's a regular death pit. As a tip, you can block the duck from flying back up with a cart until it eventually gives up and dies. While the duck is following you, it'll periodically quack, which will notify any enemies within a 5-unit radius. This is especially dangerous when a huntsman is nearby, because if it hears the duck, the huntsman will link this sound to you and shoot. Now, you can get the duck to stop following you early by breaking line of sight for 5 seconds. The best way to do this is to simply put the duck behind a wall until it de-aggroes, in which case it'll return to phase 1. Now, anytime the duck doesn't have a target, its follow timer recharges 5 times as fast. If the duck were to find another target at any point, it'll only follow that player for as long as it has on its follow timer. Once the follow timer expires, this will begin its leave state subphase. This subphase tells the duck to pathfind to a level point 30 to 50 units away, and more importantly, the duck will ignore any sounds it hears. The duck can still see, so if it spots a player, it'll begin following them, but it cannot hear at all, so you can make as much noise as you need to during this leave state. Once the duck gets to its selected level point, it'll return to its roaming phase. If the duck gets grabbed, hit, or stunned by anything, it can enter phase 3. This can be from hitting the duck with an item, an enemy hitting the duck, or some type of environmental hazard. However, just because the duck was hit doesn't mean it's guaranteed to enter phase 3. When the duck wakes up from the hit, it'll immediately attack the closest player within 10 units. However, if there are no players within 10 units of the duck when it recovers, it'll simply return to phase 1. This means that if a duck gets hit and you don't want it to aggro, you should run away as fast as possible to prevent it from advancing phases. Before we move on to phase 3, I just want to give a huge shout out to these people on screen for help contributing to this video, and an even bigger shout out to Agmas for digging through and decompiling all of the Apex Predator's AI. When a duck enters its attack phase, it will immediately begin flying up as it transforms into its aggroed state and chase the targeted player for 10 seconds. Whether you gain height or hide underneath furniture, the duck always knows where you are and will chase you wherever you go. It deals 10 damage per hit and can kill you in as little as 3 or 4 seconds if it catches up to you. As a side note, once the duck has its target, it will not retarget. The most dangerous part about this phase is that it flies very fast and it'll run you out of sprint very quickly, so simply running away is not a good way to avoid being hit. One of the best ways to get away from the duck is by using the tumble tech. In order to do the tumble tech, you'll want to roll, then jump out of your roll and enter object mode. This technique will get you much more distance than the standard tumble launch, and it can be done with only 2 or 3 stamina, making it one of, if not the best escape techniques in the game. If the 10-second timer expires, or if the targeted player dies, the duck will detransform and return to phase 1. The duck has 150 HP and can be killed a variety of different ways. Unlike most enemies in R.E.P.O, the duck cannot be stunned by items or by grabbing it no matter how much strength you have. Even during its attack phase, the duck will power through pretty much any item you try to hit it with. Although items don't stun the duck, a successful tumble launch will stun the duck for about a second or 2. If done correctly, you can kill the duck with 2 or 3 tumble launches no matter what phase it's in. As a safer option, I like to find a pit, then tumble launch the duck into the pit for a guaranteed kill. The best weapons I find to use against the duck are going to be the sledgehammer as it one-shots, the frying pan, the duck bucket, or the tranq gun as you can stun it, then slam it down until it dies, which requires no strength upgrades. Just be sure you're using weapons before the duck gets aggroed, because if you're holding a weapon while it's aggroed, it can knock it out of your hands if it gets too close. Most of you probably know that you can also kill the duck with extraction points, but did you know that if you line the duck up at the very end of the extraction point, you can actually kill the duck and still get its orb? Oh yeah, you can also use a flamethrower to kill ducks pretty easily. Ducks will drop a small orb worth anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000, and on supermoons, you can use this orb as pretty much an impact grenade dealing 85 damage. You don't need to worry about moon phases much when it comes to ducks because you already can't grab them or stun them with items. The only real difference happens once you get to a supermoon, because enemies will only take 65 damage from pits, which means sometimes you'll need to pit the duck twice, but usually they'll die from impact damage after the first pit. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.